have you ever heard of transition? It's a word. There's actually a group that was started in England, and now it's sort of spread around the world. And actually their YouTube page is called Transition Towns. And the idea is it's a neighborhood-based activism group, or a group of people that try to do things for the community that the community needs done, like better transportation or more access to organic produce or something like that. So, but one of the
started the community gardens. I mean, the same network.
Yeah, one of the parts of it is community gardens. That's one of the parts of it. But it's different everywhere you go. Every community needs something that's slightly different. So in some communities, they start these community gardens, and then they get at-risk youth to come in and work the gardens. Then they teach them how to make something from that, like salad dressing or salsa or tomato sauce or something. Then they actually get to sell it, whether it's selling it online or selling it every spring in a street fair or something like that. And actually, it's kind of like the kid's job or something. It raises money for the community, and then they can eventually buy or open up a community center or something like that. So, just that little part showing that the school kids get to eat those fruits and vegetables in their school lunches reminded me of that. I would also want the kids to have the opportunity to create more value out of those fruits and vegetables. Like little entrepreneurs making making pasta sauce or pizza sauce from the tomatoes they grow.
I'd like to say it.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I think it's a good point of this. It's maybe it's a little bit funny, but I know when I was growing, when I was a child, because I was raised in actually agricultural country. And my grandfather also had his own garden. So when the first time I found out that the American kids my age, they didn't know that potatoes come from ground, that the French fries come from ground. For me, it was like, what happened? What happened to this society? Why they don't know that? Then, when I grew up and came in Taiwan, I realized that some people that are also my age don't know that French fries come from the ground. So I think this is also very educational. French fries is just one example, but it could be anything, like tomatoes or whatever, and how to appreciate the food actually, because people very easily throw away the food, right? And kids usually do that. But when they know that they worked on it, they grew it, they waited for it, they wouldn't probably throw it away.
Like, this is the last 4 months of my life. Okay, I'll eat it. You want to say something?
Yeah, I think the whole school, the school gardening is a great idea. And in Taiwan, the Department of Education, they would like to kind of push a kind of movement or some into every elementary school, because last year we have the big problem about food problem. Yeah, so the oil, the everything. Yeah, so they have to focus on everything on food, because like Alex mentioned about so many people, they don't know, even the child, they don't know where the food come from. What I know is you just pay money and you can get some food from a supermarket or somewhere. Yeah. So right now it's a kind of the movement. Yeah. I mean, also it's a lot of school gardening, the kind of education system, well developed in Japan.
Yeah.
So we also would like to copy a little bit from Japan to Taiwan. Yeah. That's great.
Cool. Would anyone else like to say something?
yeah, although maybe people might object what I said now, they will say, well, they don't have to do the actual gardening, they can just have books and teach them, look, this is potato, and then you cut it and it's, you know.
Right, but I mean,
I think, yeah, the actual experience, of course, is
you can learn from a book. You can learn from a book that tomatoes are plants, and then you can see a picture of tomato sauce and say this comes from this.
right.
But that's not going to keep a kid from wasting it, or to help them necessarily appreciate it. I mean, we have a reading book that's from the United States in my school. And one chapter in the book is called Supermarket, called The Supermarket. And it actually gives sort of a history of pre-industrial times, or when, say, Americans maybe first came to North America, and through modern times. And it says, like, when the first Americans who came, or whatever, the first people who came to North America besides the natives didn't know how to grow anything, and actually had to be taught by the natives how to grow some very specific things. They knew how to grow things from England or wherever, from Europe, but they didn't know how to make things grow so well in North America. So anyway, after that time, then the first Americans were farmers. They were all farmers, and they had to work very hard, and you know, harvest time was all about, you know, sharing food or eating that food, or trading that food, bartering that food, until eventually you had, in the 1800s, sort of mom and pop stores or general stores, and then marketplaces, and people were buying and selling it. And then it went on to eventually, in the early 20th century, there were larger and larger agriculture, and then they're transporting the fruits and vegetables across the country and stuff like that. And you have more and more people involved in growing the food for the people in the cities, until it gave it just a little paragraph about, I can't remember his name right now. That's unfortunate. But a guy who was really instrumental in making sure that farm workers had rights. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Cesar Chavez?
Is that his name? Yeah.
Chicano?
I was gonna say Chavez,
Yeah.
but I was thinking about the ex-president of Hugo Chavez.
1960s,
I was gonna say Chavez, but I was like, no, that's the ex-president of Venezuela.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
how the first name's pronounced.
Cesar Chavez, right, thank you. I was going to say that, but it didn't sound right. So anyway, that was really cool, and it said, like, Cesar Chavez worked so hard because he wanted to teach the rest of the people in the United States that the farm workers worked long hours for low pay, right? So my point is that this still happens in our modern world. We don't appreciate farmers. We don't really understand how actually hard that they work, and how much work it takes to actually grow stuff. I think it's funny, if you ask some farmers, they might just say, no, I just throw the seeds in the ground, and the sun and the rain grows the things up. I just have to weed them sometimes. But it's still hard work. You want to say something?
That made me think of something. If you look at farmers in the United States, the people who own the land, I'm not sure they have this connection to the land that this kind of projects is trying to cultivate among young people. I do think there are some people who really work with the land and have, I don't really like this stuff, but the spiritual connection to the land, kind of like the way the DB colleges talk about it. But most of the people who are actually producing food from the land don't have this relationship at all. They're vote Republican, they're reactionaries, exploitive, using toxic fertilizers, wasteful land management and water management. So, it's not just growing food is not a solution. In the same way, there are agricultural schools in Taiwan that are teaching people to produce food, but they may not be doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and this is the rich, because you say like at the end the children, they will start to know how to do business with food, and it's at the end it would be like the same cycle. Like, okay, then I have a business, then I have to produce more, then I need some pesticides, some things to produce more, and then it's the same cycle. The thing, and I think the main goal is not to make the children business farmers as we have right now. It's more related with how we can, by ourselves, like own our own garden in our own place, try to make community gardens to have a neighborhood, like feed the neighborhood at least. Why we have to bring tomatoes from far away? Why we have to do all this kind of logistics just to, it's as easy as we own, my garden can produce as much as these big hectares owned by multinationals. So I think the aim, like, okay, we can teach them how to trade with soils and everything is more related with what we are trying to stop right now. So for me, it would be really helpful to teach children and teach them, okay, then you don't have to grow one tomato, you can grow like 20, so you can sell more, because it's also related with this way of thinking that we can do money of everything. And money is everything, right? As you say, like, all my students answer to me, like, the main goal in life is to earn a lot of money. Yeah, for what? If you are not eating well, like, what is the aim or what is the point to have a lot of money? So the thing is also related with what you said, like, okay, we have to know these tomatoes come from the ground, but also we have to know if these tomatoes are eatable. It's not only about, like, okay, what is the origin, but is this origin like really safe to eat it? Because there are tomatoes, I say like, oh, they are really good. The taste is like, it cannot be natural. So, and we are living right now these kind of things, and it's all related with food safety. It's not only food production, it's food safety. What are we eating right now?
It's two very good points.
Well, there's another problem with this, I see. And I think this is a great project. I think this is something that should be supported. But if we go farther and just talk about local production and really basing the economy and community support agriculture, some kind of utopian dream. I know we had the utopia discussion a while ago. There, then you might lose me because I'm from a working class family in Wisconsin, and you tell working class people that, at a bar that we're going to have this new economy, and yeah, you're just going to be able to grow you're just going to eat winter crops in the winter in Wisconsin. No citrus for you, nothing, because that's not locally grown. We're going to, go back to eating head cheese, I think that is asking a lot of people, especially people who may not actually have that much. I think it's something Murray Bookchin once said when posed with this similar question, and he said, before we talk about conservation, before we can talk about, people depriving themselves of something because they have so much, we have to deal with the fact that a lot of people don't have a lot, or what they have is not that glorious. Haven't reached the point of scarcity, post-scarcity, in many parts of the world for many people. Even if it's an admirable goal, I think it's a hard sell on a large scale, and I don't think it's possible right now, at least in the way people think and the lifestyle. I think the example of winter crops in a place like Canada, northern United States or Europe, I think if you think about what's really on the plate in the December or January.
Turnips.
Yeah.
I guess. Go ahead.
So this is also related of a way of thinking that we have to teach. So you say like it's not related with scarcity and they don't have, is like what is the definition of not having and having? Because everyone has the land, or like we can all land everyone. The thing is that it's monopolized by big companies right now. And for example, I come from Colombia, and many things, like our land is really fertile. You can grow anything any time of the year. We have different kind of temperatures, like it's a really fertile land. But the thing is that we don't know how to grow them. We have been taught since colonization that you have to grow tomatoes because we like in Europe. It's like we have many kind of like mushrooms. We have a lot of biodiversity, and there are many things we don't even consume because we have been taught that this is not good. So I think we are all rich, and every region is rich on what they can produce. But obviously we cannot produce papayas in winter, or in snowing temperature. So the thing is that we have to learn to grow up with what we have around. It's not this globalization of like, oh, we can consume papayas, bananas in Sweden. Is really crazy. And at the end, everything is changing. And of course, you are right. It's a way of thinking that it would take a lot of time to say to the Americans, like, oh, you cannot consume bananas because, like, bananas, you don't produce them here. They produce it in Central America.
Or kiwis, or
So
pineapples.
you are relating this with your society, and it's normal. But I am relating this with my society, and it's like, for me, it's crazy why we are not producing what we can produce in our land, and we are producing coffee just because in Europe everyone consumes coffee, and it's paid like less when we sell it like raw than when they sell it like in the package, like with US brand. Or so everything is related. So for me, it's really interesting because from the basic, like growing something, you have all these interconnections with like economy and food safety, food production, like sustainability, way of thinking. So it's everything in one.
Yeah, I really don't know which side to pick here. I'm kind of mixed. On the one hand, you're totally right. Empire and global capitalism, and
yeah, the thing is
has
that
just made it
sometimes we
dysfunctional.
don't see the issue in these different like notions or like dimensions. So we just put it like separately, so we don't naturally think on everything, like everything is related. But at the same time, when you start talking about this, and that is why this discussion is like really, really important, is to know like, okay, all that is related with this garden, farming, project is like, everything is related. Economy, education, like ways of thinking, ways of development, and yes.
No, well, what I was saying is, on the one hand, I do think that empire has made systems of production in all parts of the world dysfunctional, right? And like, for instance, the wheat and corn grown in the prairies, the ex-prairies of America, it's possible at the destruction of a major ecosystem, right? And the buffalo and the wild grasses of the prairie. The whole ecosystem was destroyed to make room for wheat and corn that feeds the world. So I do think this has been very devastating. But on the other hand, I think it's essentially a good thing that people can, for relatively inexpensively, get coffee anywhere in the world. And I don't think we should turn our back on the prosperity that technology and mass production has created. So that's where I can't quite find a balance that satisfies me.
Well, now I got a pig at home in a pen and corn to feed him on. All I need is a pretty little girl to feed him when I'm gone. Going on the mountain to rise a little cane, raise a barrel of sorghum sweet and little Liza Jane. Say baby, baking